Hi everyone, welcome back for more adventures in free cut piecing. If you remember last time I had made some pretty terrible blocks and I said I would try to figure out something to do with those blocks, which I did, and I've made this quilt with them. And so I took those really horrible blocks and layered them on top of some black fabric, and black fabric that was larger than the block. And then I recut onto the side. I cut some plain black and cut a new pumpkin seed inside the original pumpkin seed. And so I ended up with blocks like this and then blocks like this. And I put them up on the design wall, and I could see that they had some nice promise to them. Just if I had just sewed them into blocks, I think it would have made a pretty nice quilt. But instead, I got enamored. I started putting up this arc shapes, and I decided to try to piece this large arc, which was a second big mistake, because if you've downloaded the handout, you will notice, and especially next week when I do the designing with these, that I encourage you not to work in units larger than your cutting mat. And you can see this is larger than my cutting mat, because to free cut piece things so that they lie flat, you need to be able to lay them out nice and flat and cut those curves so that they match each other. If you're working larger than your cutting mat, that's very difficult to do. But regardless, I think because I had already gone off the rails, I continued off the rails, and I made a paper pattern to try to keep my arc in line, which did not work out because I had intended to do a whole arc that went all the way over, and when I pieced it, I ran out of fabric and blocks and everything, so I ended up with only part of an arc. So anyway, I got it pieced together, and I kind of liked it, but then I cut it up and layered it and started quilting it. And I decided that I would piece these. I love to couch yarns on. So the first yarns I couched on with my free motion couching foot, which is a wonderful accessory. And Janome makes a generic one that'll fit on any low shank machine. I haven't tried that. Mine's a baby lock one that I like a lot. And I quilted these lines on it, but it was really wimpy. It was really a wimpy design in comparison to the rest of the quilt. So then I decided I would couch these kinds of textured yarns on, which I really like. I also love to knit and crochet, and so I have a collection of these fun yarns that actually you can couch on with a zigzag foot very easily, except that I picked the wrong foot. So the foot that I originally was using was this one. I think you can see there's like a slit. Let me put it against there. See, there's a slit in the middle, and on this highly textured yarn, that kept getting stuck in there and ripping the yarn apart. And finally, after couching these yarns on, I got smart and realized I needed to change to this kind of a foot that has this large piece there, so that the yarn, the texture part of the yarns, would not get stuck in there. Okay, so that worked out, because I needed, because this was so wimpy, I went and added more, but I also needed stronger definition in here. And then I finally decided that it was done. Another mistake I made in this black is actually a linen cotton spandex mix for clothing. It'd be great clothing, but it's not good for quilting because of all that stretch in it. And then I had to, at the end, and it's still not lying perfectly flat, which I don't know if I can show you, but if in an earlier video I showed you how to do how to face an art quilt, and the way that I show you to do it allows you to put sticks or weights inside, either in this part, or you can literally go inside the facing and stick them in here too. so that if this quilt, if I blocked it very thoroughly, and I blocked it on my Home Sewed design wall. What you do is pin your quilt up nice and flat, soak it with a lot of water, and then pin it and let it dry. And that got out a lot of the wrinkles, but it's still not perfectly flat. So if you face your quilt that way, then you can add sticks into all four sides if you want to, and that will help it lie flat. So even though I had some bad blocks, I like this quilt, and I'm pretty happy with it. So with the next session, we'll try to take our blocks that I meant to use originally and try to design with those. And I hope you'll join me for that. And thank you very much. Bye.